The Raptor SD family is positioned between the Raptor and the Fast Track with a MSRP price of $39.99 to $45.99. The machine we have here today is a 60-inch Raptor SD priced at $45.99 MSRP. Larger 13-inch tires on the Raptor SD on the front, 20-inch rear tires. On the 60-inch version, we have the Junior Deluxe padded seat. The 48 and 54 would have the standard Raptor seat. Taking a look at the back of the Raptor SD, Kawasaki engine, you have your oil fill and check on the right side of the engine. You have your air cleaner cover for the Kawasaki engine. Real easy to service and check. You just flipped up the lid, you can see the air filter, see if it's clean, see if it's dirty, service it. Homeowner can change that filter pretty easily. And this bumper bolts directly to the Raptor frame behind it, offers real good support and protection from hitting the engine with anything and banging into obstacles. You have a tow hitch, and your muffler is also located behind here, and the muffler is mounted horizontally, so it's actually blowing exhaust out the side. It's not real close to the ground. Also under here, behind the bumper guard, you can see this a little bit, is the transmission release. There's one of these on each side of the machine. You simply pull this out, and then you can freewheel the Raptor SD anywhere you need to if you wanted to just roll it around the garage without starting it. A quick shot of the back of the Raptor SD down low, you get a real good shot of the wide rear tires, the 20 by 12 inch tires with the turf tread. And then you can see the transmissions under there, and there's ample room under there for getting a pan under there for draining the engine oil and also servicing the transmissions. There are spin-on filters on the ZT2800 transmissions. We will talk about those in a little bit, but there's ample room to get under there, put a pan, drop the filters, drain the transmissions, and also ample ground clearance for obstacles. Taking a look at the Raptor SD deck construction, the Raptor SD decks are made of 11 gauge steel, welded construction with a solid 1 inch by 3/8 inch rub bar all the way around the deck, a protector bar to give the deck strength and rigidity. Float wheels are anti-scalp wheels in 3 positions, left, right, and center. You have 11 gauge deck plate, but on the bottom side underneath the spindle assembly you have a 7 gauge doubler. So you've got a 7 gauge doubler under each spindle assembly. That 7 gauge is a thicker metal than the top plate. Taking the cover off, the cover removes with a couple bolts, steel blade spindle pulleys, and steel idlers. I've got a steel idler here. This is a commercial duty steel idler. Real heavy, it's not plastic, real nice quality. Your spindle assemblies on the Raptor SD are an aluminum spindle assembly with a 1 inch spindle shaft and a 2 inch bearing. It's a real nice heavy duty spindle assembly. It's going to give a lot of years of mowing performance. These are sealed spindle assemblies, non-serviceable, meaning there are no grease zerks. I have the blade options laid out here that are available on the Raptor SD. You have your base blade, medium lift. Then you have an optional gator blade, and these are those blades. They can be used for mulching leaves and grass, but they also will discharge the grass quite nicely. They have little teeth on the back that look like a gator's back. That's a gator blade. Then you've got a high sail blade, real high sail on the back of the blade. That would be a catching blade, and what you would do is normally replace the right blade at the discharge opening with this blade, and that provides the air to move the material into the hopper. And last but not least, this is a wavy mulch blade, and you can see the wave of the blade. And this is a blade that does very effective in mulching. Once the mulch kit is installed, you use these blades and you get a real quality mulch job. What we're trying to show you here is the undershot of the Raptor SD deck through the discharge opening. We're just trying to show you the construction of that deck under there, the commercial style construction, the perception. A real heavy built deck. You can see the aluminum spindle assemblies. You can see that a 7-gauge doubler plate just underneath that spindle assembly to give it extra strength. You get a good shot of the bar there. So it's a real impressive deck, especially for a residential zero-turn mower. We're going to talk about some of the key components and parts that make the Raptor SD one of the strongest competitors in this category of zero-turn mowers. Now keep in mind, some of these parts and components I'm talking about are key selling features, so be sure to cover these and talk about these when selling a Raptor SD. One of the first things we're going to talk about is the caster fork that's used on the Raptor SD. This is a commercial style, commercial type caster fork. This is solid 3/8-inch steel. We have a gusset on the 1-inch caster yoke. This is the same type of caster yoke we use on all the commercial hustlers and the same construction. You have a gusset here, it's welded on the bottom side, it's welded on the top side. The caster yoke is mounted into the front axle with two 1-inch sealed ball bearings. And these ball bearings slip down over here. These are maintenance-free sealed bearings. And the caster yoke rides in here. Many competitors in this category, they'll use a bushing. They'll have grease zerks out there. They'll have a bearing cap. These are sealed bearings. They require no maintenance and will last a long time. And this is the same type of bearing assembly and the same setup we use in the commercial hustlers. This caster fork mounts into the front axle. I have a front axle here, and the bearings sit into this caster yoke carrying assembly here, and this is the same caster yoke tube that we use on the commercial hustlers. It's welded to the fabricated front axle, and you can see, you get a good shot of this wide fabricated front axle. Real nice construction, a lot of durability and strengthening points. Boxed out construction on the back side. It's got some weight to it. It's going to prove to be very durable, and it does give the Raptor SD a very wide stance for stability and a great appearance on the showroom floor. This is a nice feature to compare to some other zero turns that may have smaller axles or narrower axles or maybe just a piece of tubing. We're going to cover some of the key components and parts of the decks. These are key selling features for the deck. The spindle assembly is a cast spindle assembly with a 2-inch sealed bearings, top and bottom. Nice steel saddle that the blade's going to mount right up against. And these are very similar to commercial spindle assemblies that are used in walk-behinds. This is going to be one of the most durable heavy-duty spindle assemblies you'll see in a mower in this category. The idlers that we're using on the Raptor SD are steel idlers. These are commercial style idlers, sealed bearings, and you get a good shot of this. These aren't plastic, and that's why I'm covering this. A lot of mowers in this category will use a real inexpensive galvanized idler. I've seen some that are plated. These are painted idlers. They're thick. These are the same type of idlers we're using on the commercial units. This is the one for underneath on the pump drive. The transmissions we're using in the Raptor SD are the Hydrogear ZT2800s. This is a step up from the transmission we're using in the entry-level Raptor, and that's because the Raptor SD is a little bit of a heavier machine, has larger deck sizes, and is going to have an increased mowing demand or mowing load. The ZT2800 transmission is a serviceable transmission with spin-on filters on each transmission. These filters are located down here at the bottom of the transmission. These transmissions can be drained and filled by the customer or the dealer, and you would refill them through the expansion bottle that's under the seat. We're going to cover some of the accessories for the Raptor SD family. First, there's a 5.2 bushel rear catcher. That's a 2-bag catcher, non-assist, which means there's a tube that comes from the deck and directs the material right into the catcher. When you put that catcher on, there is a blade. You replace the right blade with a high sail blade. It gives you an extra high sail for air to move that material up the tube. And here's a photo of that catcher. For mowing at night or for safety, there's an optional LED light kit that can be easily mounted to the Raptor SD. Here's a photo of that. There's a steering lever extension kit that allows you to extend the height of the steering lever for extra tall operators. And these just go in between the steering lever and the control lever of the machine and bring the height of the steering levers higher. There's 2 brackets in the kit. We have a flex fork option for the Raptor SD family as well. A flex fork is a suspension fork. There's a rubber torsion tube here, and the fork is allowed to flex here, and it takes a lot of the little bumps and vibrations out of the ride when mowing. This is really useful when you're on hard ground or dry soil. There's a mulch kit offered for the Raptor SD family for all the decks. Consists of instructions, bag of hardware. You have a baffle that would close off the discharge opening. There's an airflow baffle that mounts to that. You have 2 of these baffles that would mount left blade, center blade, and what that does is close off each blade and then makes it its own cavity. And then you have what we call a wavy mulch blade, a typical mulch blade. The edge is wavy, there's a little bit of a sail. Mulch kit works real well. This mulch kit can be installed by the customer if they're a little bit handy, or the dealer. Maybe takes 15-20 minutes to install. Very easy to install. We're going to talk about some basic features of the Raptor SD. These are features that are going to make this machine very competitive and sellable in the category that it's going to compete in. You've got adjustable steering levers. You got a high and low adjustment on the Raptor SD, and this is to accommodate larger operators with longer legs. You have the Hustler patented automatic parking brakes. Levers out, brakes are set, neutral switches are set. I can get off the machine. I get on the machine, I'm ready to mow. Levers in, brakes release, neutral switches off, I'm ready to mow grass. It's a great feature, fewer parts, ease of operation. On the tanks, on the fender covers, we have a molded drink holder, storage area on both fender covers, 3-gallon fuel tank with a sight on the side, 20 by 12-inch large rear drive tires. That is on the 54 and the 60-inch Raptor SD. On the 48, these would be 8-inch tires. That's 20 by 8-inch tires, and that is so the width of the tires are not wider than the 48-inch deck. Moving to the front caster wheels, these are 13 by 650 smooth front caster wheels. These are the same type of caster wheels that are used on full-size commercial zero turns. The front of the Raptor has a long fabricated heavy-duty front axle. This wide fabricated front axle gives the Raptor a great look, a beefy presence, but it's going to give it stability. It's going to be one of the widest zero turns in this category. Moving to the deck lift system, we have a foot-operated deck lift with your adjustment under my leg here. And so you push this down, it locks into a transport position, then the pin removes freely. I pick the height that I want to mow in, and these are in 1/4-inch increments. Once I get the pin back in, I release it and take it out of transport. Deck falls back down, I'm ready to mow grass. The deck is supported or hung under the machine by a 4-point deck lift system. That means there's 4 separate points supporting the deck. That's very similar to the way commercial zero turns hang the decks.